So thank you so much for being here, everybody. So this is the online orientation. We call it Golden Bear Advising for the computer science major. And this presentation is specifically for transfer students. So I want to make sure that you're in the right spot. Thank you for introducing yourselves to each other. It's really important that we get you all knowing each other right off from the start, because we want you to meet friends, get to know each other, have study mates, all that good stuff. Okay, so the agenda for today, in just a minute, the advising team is going to introduce themselves. Those that are here today, I'll introduce myself as well. We're going to talk about the difference between major and college advising. We're going to share lots of resources with you. We'll go over the major requirements. And then finally, probably what you are all waiting for is what classes should you be taking. So we'll talk about not only the classes for the fall, but also for the spring, because as a transfer student, your time's going to go pretty fast. So we want you to be as prepared as possible, and for you to feel confident going into the fall so that you know what your plan should be. After that, we'll talk about some grading policies for the college and then just wrap up and have any last questions. I will stop a couple times throughout the presentation for questions. So if you want to hold off on questions until those kind of designated times, that'll help us, the advisors, kind of stay focused and make sure we get all of your questions. All right, so who we are, most of us here today, we are from the Center for Student Affairs, and so that's in the Electrical Engineering and Computer Science Department. This presentation is for computer science transfers, so it's kind of confusing the way our department is named. We are known as the EECS department, and our department has two majors. So your major is one of them, the computer science major. The other major is also called EECS. So sometimes you'll hear about, an event this fall that's called the EECS Student Social. That also includes you. Whenever we do department events, we usually call it EECS because that's our department name, but it is an umbrella term for both majors. So I just want to make that clear because our department is kind of tricky to understand, especially at the beginning. Where you're going to find us is mostly in these two buildings. So the one on the left, the green one, that's Soda Hall. That's the computer science building. So that's where myself, Carol, and Javier sit. And on the right is Corey Hall. That's the electrical engineering building. It's right across the street. And that's the electrical engineering side. We have more advisors who sit in that building as well, and they also help with the CS major. So there's a lot of you, and so therefore we need a lot of us to support you. The best way to reach us is by this email alias right here. So this is cs-advising@cs.berkeley.edu. You're welcome to email, me individually, but if you want to have a faster response, it's best to reach out to all of us at once. And then some of you may have heard about the new building that's coming. So that is called the Gateway, and it's going to be open next spring, which is really cool. So you'll actually be able to see it really soon. I think that, some advisors might be moving in next spring, but our team probably wouldn't be until next summer. Lots more information to come, but the building's really coming along and it's looking beautiful. So that's really exciting that you get to see that. So you don't have to memorize anything you hear today in this presentation. There's way too much information to try to be, taking every single note. If you want to take notes, great. But I will certainly send you these slides later, and then I'll send you the recording once that is ready. But if you do want to check out our website and see where all this information lives, this is where you would find it. This is kind of a landing page for our students with various links. Okay, here we are. Here's our team. So this is the computer science undergraduate advising team. And we have Michelle Fong here as our director, and she's on the call today. Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Lydia. Hello, everybody. Good morning. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here. My name is Michelle Fong, and I'm the director of the Undergraduate Advising Office. Welcome. Excited to work with you all, and hope you have a great semester.
Thank you, Michelle.
Sure.
And then we have Carol and Javier as well, who them along with me were the main CS advising team. So Carol, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi. Welcome everybody. I'm Carol. I'm one of the CS specific advisors, but like Lydia was saying, there's several other advisors that will help that are listed here that are great. Grayson, Gina, and Kate. And yeah, then you can say hi to Javier now.
I don't know if you're able to see me, but I'm Javier. I'm the Javier Garcia. I'm the other CS advisor. We're located in 349 Soda Hall. And, I'm happy, that you're here. And congratulations. You're a cow now.
So as we mentioned, Carol, myself, Javier, we're the main CS advising team. We all sit together in Soda Hall. Charlene Duncan is also in our office. She's the director of our Computer Science Scholars Program, and I'll talk about that in a later slide. So the four of us sit together in Soda. And then across the street over in 205 Corey sit the other half of our team, Grayson, Gina, and Kate, and they help with both the computer science major and the EECS major, among other projects that they work on. But so we all help. If you come during drop-in advising, you could meet with any one of us. So we really, we want you to know that there are a lot of people here to support you. And again, I have the email alias listed here at the bottom, so please reach out to us that way with questions. And I've actually already added all of you to our EECS 101 Ed forum. So you should have already received that invitation. If you did, please join. It's a really important way that we post announcements, share deadlines. Other students post questions to each other. You can give each other advice and feedback. It's a really great way to get help. But I included the link there just in case you lost it or you need to join. So next I'm going to talk about the difference between the major advising side. So all the major advisors, that's the team you were just introduced to. And then you also have a college advisor. So this is a bit different than generally how community colleges work. In community college, you usually have one general counselor who knows everything, and they help you with your major requirements, your general education, IGETC, everything. Here, Berkeley is so large, we need lots of different advisors to support you throughout your time at Berkeley. And so we have one of the college advisors here on the call today, Brianna.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna. I am one of the senior college advisors for CDSS, so on the college level. So in total on our team, there are 6 of us. And thank you so much, Lydia, for making this slide. This will be kind of essential for you guys so you know exactly who to go for certain situations or certain advising. We're here to help you know with anything related to college level requirements or policies or college resources. And then if you haven't logged into GBA, make sure you log in. There's an announcement on there talking about upcoming webinars for you guys that are related to like college level requirements and policies. So that's where you'll be able to learn a little bit more about the college side as opposed to the major side of things. So great to meet you all. Always love to work with transfers. I was a transfer student myself, so happy to see you all here today.
So, like Brianna said, there are different reasons why you might come see us, the major advisors or the college advisors. It's very hard to know at the beginning where you go to first. So just start with someone, and then we will, of course, refer you to the right place if we are not, the right place for, that has the answer to your question. But this little visual here can kind of help guide you when you're new to who you should be asking your questions to. So on the left side, we have the the computer science side. So we are known as CS Advising, Undergraduate Major Advisor, or UMA. Our locations, those were the slides I went over earlier. So we're in 349 Soda and in 205 Corey. Over the summer, we meet with students virtually. So in the fall, you could have both options available, but over the summer, it's just going to be virtual. What would you come talk to us about? Anything related to the CS major. So your classes, internship opportunities, things like that. And then how to meet with us. Again, it would be virtual drop-in this summer. We do have appointment options, but those would be available in the fall. And yeah, so I went over the questions to ask. So then compared with the college advising side, so those are called your college advisors, or CDSS. CDSS stands for the College of Computing, Data Science, and Society. So that's the college that you are in. Those advisors are located in 130 Warren Hall and also are doing advising virtually over the summer. They are doing both drop-in and appointments, but both would be virtual options. And then what would you go to them about? So if it's a question about classes that are outside of the major requirements, so if you have questions about your IGETC, if you need to take fewer than 12 units, that would be, reduced course load. You would go talk to a college advisor about that. So kind of more broad and bigger policies, those would go to college advising. Specific major questions come to us for the major. And so then I have their advising website here. And again, other examples of questions like a breadth requirement. American cultures. American cultures is something usually transfers need. If you need to withdraw, or if you go on academic notice, which is the new term for probation, that would be another, your college advisor would be another great resource for those topics. And if you just you're feeling kind of lost, overwhelmed, you just need somebody to talk to, any advisor is there for that purpose. We all want to work with students. We want to talk to you. So please reach out when you need help. Okay, and just as a reminder, how are you going to reach a computer science advisor this summer? So we will be available for virtual drop-in only. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so this afternoon, you could come 1:30 to 3 p.m. And we have a link here for how to reach the Zoom. And then once we return to the fall, we'll have both drop-in and drop-in appointments in person and virtual probably as well, and then virtual appointments. And those can be booked via Cal Central. And if you just have a quick question, you're welcome to email us, where we try to be pretty quick about getting a response back to you within a couple days, and you can reach us during business hours. So how to schedule a CS advising appointment. I'm including instructions here. These would be available starting in the fall. So if you try right now, you wouldn't be able to book. But here, so you know how to book the appointment, are instructions. The instructions, because we used to be in the College of Letters and Science, the instructions still say that college. So just remember, when you actually go to make the appointment, you'll have to choose the new college CDSS and the computer science major. And then how would you meet with a college advisor this summer? So there's lots of different kind of advising sessions going on. Make sure to check your B courses for more information. So there's a workshop on how to build your schedule happening on July 1st. Maximizing your time outside the classroom is happening on July 10th. And you do need to, what's different about the college advising versus the major advising is you do need to finish your GBA course prior to meeting with a college advisor. But you can find more information on their advising website, and they also have an EdSTEM page. And so here is the form here. You would need to submit this form. You're not added automatically. So please make sure you submit this form when you receive the slides later today. Okay, another way that you can get advice while you're here at Berkeley is by faculty. And so we offer something called faculty advising every fall and spring semester. And this is a really great way to kind of ease into it when you're newer and, maybe you're not sure which classes to take. Maybe you're considering grad school, but you're not sure. Maybe you're a little bit intimidated to talk to faculty and you are not ready to go one-on-one to their office hours. Faculty advising is something that happens in smaller groups. And so you just bring some questions, and you get to choose who you sign up with. But I would really take advantage. Some students, they see the email and they kind of say, they don't take advantage. So I would really encourage you, especially if you're considering grad school, this is something you're going to want to start doing right at the start in your first semester. So we will send out all that information in the fall, but we wanted to kind of highlight it now so that it's familiar to you when you get the email later. Okay, so I'm going to show you lots of resources, and then I think we have a few more slides, and then we'll start talking about your schedule for the fall. The Transfer Student Center is a wonderful place. They have so many resources for transfers. They hold lots of different workshops. They have various programs. They have raffles. There'll be a lot happening during the fall. In October, there's National Transfer Student Week, so they always have a lot going on during that. That's where I got this shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but many years ago, I got that at some event they were hosting, and I'm sure they still raffle them away at their events. I've seen them do that. So I really wanted to give a nice plug for the Transfer Student Center. They also have like a community space that you can use for studying or just, hanging out with your peers. And then the next resource was the Fung Fellowship for specifically for transfer students. So please make sure to look at this information. They're going to have a workshop to give you more information on what their fellowship is, and their deadline is August 3rd. So lots of time to, look into that and then apply. There's a new program called Hello World, and that's in the College of CDSS. Their application is coming up. I think it's not a hard deadline on the 27th. They called it something like early something, but I'm sure you would get, maybe your application would be viewed earlier if you meet this deadline on the 27th. But so this is just like a really, nice kind of community cohort group for students in CDSS for both transfers and first year students. But I would encourage you to apply. It would be a way to meet not only other computer science students, but data science and statistics, and you'll all be in the same classes. So it's a great way to form community early on. If we have any student parents here with us today, I wanted to send the link for the Student Parent Center. There's lots of resources available if you're looking for, preschool or just connecting with other parents, summer camps, which are happening now, as well as, aftercare programs in the fall. And at the bottom here, I have the Berkeley Parents Network link. This is not UC Berkeley. This is like Berkeley as the city. I belong to this network. I have 2 kids, and this is so valuable. I mean, it's going to give you advice on any and everything, on even, just events happening in Berkeley and around on the weekends that are family friendly, stuff people are selling or giving away for free. I've gotten lots of like books and toys over the years. So those are just some specific student parent resources. And then this is the computer science scholars program that I was referencing earlier that Charlene is the director of. So this is a cohorted program that groups together students in computer science, but also other engineering majors who went maybe to an under-resourced school in high school and even community college, and they didn't have a lot of programming CS experience prior coming to Berkeley. So the deadline to apply is July 3rd at noon, and you can go to the website, kind of read more about the program. But I think, the program kind of cohorts you through the lower division. So 61A, 61B, C, 70. It would put you in a discussion group and maybe even a lab as well, with only other CS scholars. So sometimes when you have, less experience in a topic, you don't feel as comfortable asking questions in front of other students, but everyone's going to kind of have a similar background in these discussion and lab sections, so it might make you feel more comfortable asking questions. Charlene would be the contact for this program, so you're welcome to reach out to her with questions. But it's a really great program, supportive learning environment. They take a trip to Microsoft, sometimes not every year, but they have at least a couple times. So yeah, definitely worth looking into. And then last, I think this is my last resource slide, a few more resources to check out. I don't actually know if people still use the Facebook page because I don't know if, seems like people maybe have moved on from Facebook, but you can check it out and let me know if it's still going. There's a CS one and then a general UC Berkeley one. And then a few years ago, some students recorded a podcast for a class project in CS 195, which is our ethics course. And it just talks about like transfer student perspectives and culture. So if you want to give that a listen, it could be interesting. Okay, so let's talk about some declaration policy information. So how do you declare the CS major? You are already done. You're already declared. We are in the CDSS college, and the college is only a couple years old, but you were all admitted directly to the computer science major. There's nothing else you need to do to declare your major. So that's really great. You don't need to meet a GPA to stay declared. You don't need to take additional classwork or paperwork to ensure that your computer science major is there. It is there. You might see some emails from us talking about how to declare and applications and things like that. That does not apply to your class. That's we still have some students who were in those subject to those policies. So it can be a little confusing, but please know that as of fall 2024, computer science transfers and first years are admitted directly into the major. So you do not need to worry about that. You do, however, need to meet, remain in good standing and have at least a 2.0 GPA in your major and college requirements to remain in good standing. So there are still policies you need to meet, but you don't need to do additional steps to declare your CS major. So in terms of transfer coursework, if you are a California Community College transfer, as most of you are, you can double check stuff on assist.org. But if your class is listed there and transferable, there's nothing more you need to do. So we will receive your transcripts. It does take a while. It might be like October, November when you actually see your transcripts in Cal Central. But you don't need to do anything more to confirm that something transferred if it is listed on assist.org. If you have partial articulation to classes like CS61A, CS61B, or CS61C, and it would say that on the assist report, then you can email us, again, cs-advising@cs.berkeley.edu for a permission code. And if you want to enroll in a bridge course, then that's how you would enroll. So we need to just like check, where did you take your class and what's your major, etc. But we can give you a permission code if you would like to do that. You don't have to do the bridge course, however. If you have partial data structures articulation, but you feel like, I'd rather take the full class at Berkeley for my major, that's totally fine. You could even have full articulation to something like data structures and take the class again with us anyway. Some transfers opt to do that if they don't feel that they got enough preparation. So just know that you do have options. Looks like that prompted a couple questions, so maybe I can pause there. So the bridge classes, the question is, are we able to take the bridge course over the summer if needed? And unfortunately not. Those are only going to be available during the fall and spring.
Yeah, they asked about the 47C too, if you want to, whether we offer it.
In general, we do offer CS 47C. And so it's a bridge class because it's under the 47 series. And so CS 47A corresponds to 61A, CS 47B to 61B, 47C to 61C. We did have an update with a lot of the 61C classes at various community colleges. So it might be your specific school that is no longer partially articulated, but I would send us an email so that we can double check that because we'll need to double check anyway. And if you are able to take the bridge course, then we would just connect you with the TA for 61C, and they'll help with getting you enrolled.
And then we have a question, and I can just answer that. When you go on assist.org for 61A, B, or 61C, a transfer course, and it says must complete an additional university course after transfer to satisfy this requirement. Yes, that does mean the bridge course. And if the community college has no articulation for one of the courses, do you have to take the full course? Yes, you do. They're asking about how do the bridge classes compare to the full classes?
So that's going to really depend on the class. You'll meet, like for 47A, for example, you would meet with, it's usually Professor John De Niro, and he'll go over what you need to do in order to have full articulation, to finish the 61A requirement. 47C, they usually write up a contract with the student and kind of go over the areas that you're missing and what labs you need to finish, certain things like that. And I think it would be similar for 47B. So it's going to depend on the class. It's all sort of a similar procedure, but yeah, Carol, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, that says it really well. The only other point I would mention is they are one unit, and that's kind of deceptive. They're a bit more work than that, and it really can depend on a lot of different things. So, which leads to the next question, Lydia, for you, is it recommended to take the full class, even if our community college courses articulate fully or partially?
Yeah, we get that question a lot from transfer students, and I would go with your gut because when I talk to some students, they say, my class, it's fully, articulated, but I don't feel confident. So if it's obvious to you, I think you would know. However, if you have a lot of data structures experience, maybe you've been working already, you might feel totally differently. You could also look at some of the upper division websites, and see, have I covered everything? Would I be okay? Because 61B is basically a prerequisite, at least, one of the prerequisites to all of the upper division. Not everything requires 61C, most, but not everything requires CS 70. But I think just about every upper division class requires 61A and B. So you do want to make sure that your foundation is set in those courses. Okay, so that was all for California community college transfers. So I remember, we have someone from SF State here today, and we probably have some other students transferring from other 4 years or community colleges outside of California. So the next slide is going to pertain to you. Okay, so your evaluation process will be a bit different because there's no assist that exists for you if you're coming from a 4-year or a community college outside of California. So the first thing you will probably want to do is send all of your math syllabi to the math department. They have a really streamlined process for this. So we would say, just go ahead and take care of that this summer so that for sure my classes transferred fully or not. The math department also has a bridge course. It's Math 49. If you are missing, you know, a unit here or there in something. One thing to note is for linear algebra, we only need linear algebra. So if they say, you know, your class is not fully equivalent to linear algebra and differential equations, that might still be okay for us because we don't need differential equations. So they're pretty good about the explanation in the email. So if you're unsure, you could forward it to us and we can try to figure it out. But that is something to note that we don't actually require differential equations anymore. So we just need math through linear algebra. So that would be for the math classes. You will send to math. For the CS classes, 61A, B, C, if you think you have partial or full equivalents to those classes, you can send them to us, and then we will work on getting those, you know, over to the faculty and having those evaluated, and then we'll follow up with you. Depending on the time of the summer or the semester, it can take more or less time to get a response on these. So just know that ahead of time. If it's time for you to enroll in classes and you're waiting on a 61A evaluation, I would go ahead and enroll in 61A because chances are your class is not fully equivalent. 61A is not as common to have full articulation. Sometimes you can have partial, but again, if I wouldn't wait to enroll in something, if you just need to enroll because you're, you know, it's July 15th or, you know, what the date is this year, just go ahead and enroll in the official class and we can always change to the bridge class later if needed, or you can drop it if you don't need to take it at all. And then the same advice would go for 61B and C. And then for CS 70, we do not take transfer coursework for this class. That's a policy that our faculty have set. So that's our discrete math class. So you would need to take CS 70 here at Berkeley. Okay, and so then let's talk about your class requirements for the major. So lower division requirements are courses that have the numbers 1 through 99. So like CS 61A, that's a lower division class. So I'm just linking here so you can see what all of those are. And then upper division requirements are going to have numbers 100 to 199. So those would be CS 161. That's our computer security class. So that's an upper division requirement. So at community college, you did all lower division. And now that you're at Berkeley, maybe you still have to finish some lower division. If you weren't able to take, you know, many computer science classes, everyone will take CS 70. That's a lower division class. But then all of your upper division would be taken with us, unless you're, you know, like the SF State student. If you took an upper division, maybe something would count, maybe not. But this is a quick breakdown of how our upper division requirements work. It's usually 6 classes, and it needs to be a minimum of 24 units. So of those 24 units, 1 class is going to be what's called a design class. 2 classes need to be in computer science. And then the next 2 classes can be in computer science, or if you wanted to do electrical engineering, you could have that count as well. And then the last class would be something called our non-computer science technical elective. So we have a long list of what could satisfy this requirement. It could be something in biology or mechanical engineering or cognitive science. There's a huge range of classes. Yeah, so hopefully you could get something kind of, you know, interdisciplinary that's interesting and relates to what you're learning, or it could be something totally different. It's up to you. But you can go off of the list there. Okay, so now we'll just do like a visual of what your major looks like. So hopefully all of you are coming in with calculus, and then you would have math through linear algebra as well. And then the lower division for computer science would be 61A, BC 70. And then this is kind of, just a visual for what the upper division looks like, because for the lower division, it's you have to take these specific classes. It's very prescriptive. For upper division, it's you need to satisfy these unit requirements, but you can choose how you want to do that. So you could take lots of classes in artificial intelligence, as many as you want to satisfy the unit requirements. Or you could do a mix of robotics and circuits and security. It's really, how you want to design your upper division education, but just following our unit requirements. Okay, so now let's talk specifically about the fall. So what classes you're actually going to sign up for. So in the CDSS college, there's a 12-unit minimum requirement. That's the minimum, but for the first semester, we would say that's probably also a good starting point. You don't want to overload yourself too much. It is going to be a transition. You've already been in college for a number of years, but you haven't been at Berkeley yet. So you're going to be getting used to, maybe you're living in a new place, meeting new people, getting to know a new campus, getting used to what our classes are like versus where you're transferring from. So we would caution you against trying to take on too much in the first semester. Some of you may be qualified to do what's called a reduced course load, so that would be less than 12 units. If you're wondering about that, you would go to your college advisor, any college advisor you could meet with to talk about reduced course load. But the 12 units, that's the general requirement. So what that might look like for the fall would be one CS course or Stat 20, and I'll explain more on why Stat 20 later. And then another computer science course. Then, as I mentioned earlier, most of you probably need to take American Cultures. That's a general education requirement from Berkeley. So it's not specific to all the universities and it's not part of IGETC. So unless you kind of sought it out on assist.org, you probably still need to take this class. So you might as well kind of take it earlier than later. Also, it helps to round out your schedule so it's not so, only tech STEM classes. And then if you wanted to, you could do a seminar or a decal. A decal is a student facilitated course, and there's such a huge range of topics. You could learn, how to solve a Rubik's Cube versus something related to CS. You could do that as well. We offer decals or electrical engineering if you're curious about that. But this is optional again, because you just need the 12-unit minimum. And then these are some tips from your peers. So we just want to share again, try to take it easy in the first semester. So as your peers say, 61B and 70 are busy together, but they're okay to take together in the same semester. It's not generally recommended, though, to take 61C with 61B or 61C with 70. Those combinations tend to not be as they don't go as well together as 61B and 70. For the lower division, some of you came from a school where you already took 61B, you already took 61C, that's great. But for the majority of you, you have a lot of lower division on the computer science side to take. And try not to rush through. They're really important classes. They're going to lay the groundwork for upper division, and they're actually really great classes too. So please enjoy them. You have 5 semesters as a CDSS transfer student. If you wish to take a 5th semester, you can. So there is time. And, just wanted to point out prerequisites. They are there for a reason. We generally do not enforce prerequisites. Some upper division may, like CS 186 databases, does enforce the 61C requirement. But most classes, you just sign up for them. So make sure that you are ready for a class before you enroll in it. Okay, so the next several slides are going to be real samples of what your first 2 semesters could look like depending on, if you have articulated coursework coming in or not.
Somebody's asking about the Hello World program. Oh, is CS Scholars open to transfers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then I think the other question is about the Hello World.
The Hello
To
World program, that's through the college. So we don't have a ton of information. If somebody could put Marcia's contacts for Hello World, that would be great because she's managing that program.
Okay, I have another question. If our 61A, 61C fully articulated, but our 61B needs additional requirement, would we only need to take the bridge or 61B again at Berkeley?
So 61A articulated, 61B is partially.
Yeah, so it's yeah, you would need to take the course or the bridge course if it said you need an additional course. For 61B on assist, if that's the case, you would have to take yeah, either the full course or the bridge course. Is it possible to take prerequisite classes in the same semester as a class that requires them? That depends. That's up to the faculty. Some of them will indicate that it can be taken concurrently.
There is a term called co-requisite, and then there's prerequisite. So, pre means before, co is okay during. So, I would say come, like Carol said, talk to the faculty, also talk to us, we'll try to figure out an ideal schedule, I guess. Okay, so this first schedule is going to be for students who need all 61 A, B, C. So you have no partial articulated or fully articulated course to those classes. After I do a couple of these, you'll also kind of notice that they're all pretty much the same, unless you have like several classes articulated. They're sort of the same, just a different version of itself. But so if you need everything, basically we would recommend a sample could be you start out in 61A and possibly Stat 20. So the reason for Stat 20 is this class, it does a couple things. You have a statistical reasoning requirement at the college level that you need to fulfill. It's possible you've already fulfilled that if you took a certain stat class at community college or if you did an AP statistics class, but you may not have completed this already. So if you haven't completed it, Stat 20 will fulfill that. What it will also do is it fulfills the prerequisite along with 61A for a class called Data 100, and that's Principles of Data Science. Data 100 will count for the major for us. So, and they enforce their prerequisites. So you do need to have fulfilled their prereqs prior to taking Data 100. So if you're interested in Data 100, if you're kind of interested in data science, then it would make sense for you to take Stat 20 early on so that you don't get stuck later with, oh, I haven't fulfilled the prerequisites. Now I have to take something, and do I have time to do that? So this kind of just sets you up nicely for taking that Data 100 class later. So those would be the first two classes, sort of like your major classes. And then the third requirement, AC, stands for American Cultures. So again, you probably need to take that. You do have a certain number of upper division units that you need to take for the college. You need to take 36 upper division units for the college. So, and again, those numbers would be 100 to 199. So we would recommend taking an upper division American Cultures requirement. So you're kind of hitting both requirements at the same time. And then again, if you wanted to do a decal or a seminar, you could do that for a unit. So your first semester would be 12 to 13 units. So that would be for the fall. For the spring, you could continue on with the lower division CS classes, so CS 61B and 70 together. So it's by no means like an easy combination, but it is a common combination. It'll keep you busy, but we've heard that it is manageable. And then as a third requirement, you have a couple different options. You could do our tech elective requirement. Maybe we could talk about, or you could talk with other students about trying to find a lighter tech elective to kind of balance out your schedule. If you took Stat 20 in the fall, you would be ready to take Data 100. Data 100 is not known to be super heavy. So again, we try to be careful about the balance of your schedule. So that could be okay with 61B and 70. Or maybe you take just a CDSS requirement, so you're not taking all three technical courses. So that would be the first sample. So we'll move on now to sample B. So this is one option if you have a partially articulated 61B or data structures course. So the fall could look the same as the previous sample, or you could do 61A and 70 together. 70 is known to be, probably the most rigorous of the lower division classes. So keep that in mind if this is going to be your first semester. But this would be, a combination you could try as well. And then you can see, again, upper division American cultures, and then maybe a decal or seminar. For your second semester, if you have partially articulated data structures, then you could take that CS 47B here, and that would be 1 unit, as Carol mentioned. Or you could opt to take the full 61B, and that would be 4 units. Something you want to keep in mind about the bridge courses is sometimes it sounds great. Oh, okay, I don't have to take the full class over, but you still have your 12-unit minimum you have to reach unless you have an approved reduced course load. So if you are taking the bridge course, then you'll need to make up the units somehow to meet that 12-unit minimum. So your other classes for the second semester, again, upper division American cultures, maybe tech elective, data 100 if you took Stat 20, or a CDSS requirement. And then I have that fourth line here, other elective, so that you meet your 12-unit minimum.
Well, there's one question with the first sample. Would you be able to graduate in 2 years?
Just came back to the first sample. So if you have no articulated classes, then I'm trying to think about it. You would definitely need to take a class, like say you did this sample for the first year, then we would say take CS 61C your first summer. And then you would be left with 5 requirements possibly for the upper division in your last 2 semesters. And then you would have, I would think you would have at least 6 classes in that second year. We do have full sample schedules on our website, on our transfer page that I can send. So it's possible. We definitely have students graduate in 2 years, but you'll see compared with the 5-semester plan, it's a lot heavier for each semester. So yeah, we could just talk more about that.
And then another question for sample B, which you have up now, does that not complete the CDS stat requirement if we do 70 in the fall?
Right, then you would have to, if you need the stat requirement, then you would need to put the stat requirement in another semester. So maybe you move that to the spring and then, kind of shift everything over.
Looks like the rest of the questions are college related. What is the reason to do upper division AC again? Are we guaranteed 5 semesters?
Definitely guaranteed 5 semesters. It's up to you whether or not you want to take advantage of that, and you don't have to decide right away. You can decide later. So I wouldn't, when you meet with one of us, I would just say, usually when I meet with transfers, I make a 4-semester plan and a 5-semester plan. I'm biased toward the 5-semester plan. I think that you will be a happier human being overall, and you'll just have more options for, research. You get to have 2 summers, which means another opportunity for an internship. I think it opens doors to more opportunities, and 4 semesters is going to go by really quickly. But I can give you 2 plans, and then you take them, and then you adjust as you go.
Okay.
But the question about like the upper division units, that is totally going to be covered by the college advisor. So make sure that you're doing the B courses, going through that information and attending their information, because you do want to make sure that you have your units, your unit requirements clear. So this is sample C. This is option 2 if you have a partially articulated 61B course. So this has the Stat 20 in the fall instead of CS 70, and then CS 70s in the spring instead. So really similar, just kind of shuffled around a little bit. I'll just leave the screen here so you can kind of take it in. So if you are coming from DVC, this might be your scenario here, because we have a lot of DVC transfers who will have both 61B and 61C done. So if that's you, then you might do 61A and Stat 20 again. So it's like a similar semester as other students. But then in the spring, you could do CS 70, because CS 70 is known, to be quite heavy and challenging. Maybe your other classes aren't as heavy. Maybe you don't load yourself up with all STEM, all very, heavy courses. That could be a great time to take a lighter tech elective. And then maybe something else for CDSS, or even just upper division, that sounds interesting to you because you need upper division units. And that, might, again, finding that balance. So some of you, if you went to Laney or Evergreen, you might have a CS61A equivalent. I believe those are the only 2 community colleges that have equivalents to 61A. So instead of starting off in 61A, or maybe you're taking 61A this summer, so you would be ready to go into 61B this fall, but then the rest of the schedule kind of looks the same. And then for the spring, you could do CS 70. Alternatively, maybe I have this as the other option. We could do 61C there. And again, with 70, you could do a tech elective or another elective, maybe something for the college. And yes, okay, so that's the other option I have here. Oh, it's a little bit different actually. So this would be 61B and 70 in the fall, and then 61C in the spring. So it's just some different ways to think about your schedule there. So I know that was a lot to take in. I think we had a couple more questions. Does anyone need me to go back to a sample or have some questions?
No, the only question, Maya had one about the 36 units, but that's a college requirement. We only require the 24 upper division and then the lower division that Lydia talked about. So you would need to talk to college advising about the 36.
Yeah, our major will give you 24 upper division units. So just by fulfilling our requirements for the major, you'll automatically get 24 upper division units. And then you need overall 36 upper division units to graduate. So you would need 12 additional ones. So that's why taking like a 4-unit American Cultures upper division, that's going to bump you from that 24 that we'll give you to 28. And then it just, decals or seminars, those are usually numbered 198. So if you took one of those here and there, you'll meet it really easily, but you do need to be mindful of it as you go.
And then there's a question about, it says, I think you mentioned we need to do something on our B courses, but before we meet with a major counselor, I currently don't see anything in my B courses. Sorry, I missed what you said.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe Brianna, can you clarify? Because I could also be misspeaking.
And then it's in the appointment section on My Academics. Is that for college or major advising? Is that I in Cal Central? Well, we do use Cal Central at this time for the appointments, and I actually don't know what. I don't think CDSS uses CDS Cal Central, right? They have a different system. So you'd have to check with the major advising about that. Go on their, you could go on their website and they have a link to make appointments, but they also have drop-in. They have very prolific with drop-ins at CDSS. So I recommend going there first.
Well,
Uh,
and Brianna is still here. So Brianna, if you want to speak to the B courses stuff and the appointments.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So with the B courses, first of all, you should have all been sent some sort of invitation to actually join the B courses. So if you didn't accept that, you won't see anything on your B courses. So make sure that you accepted, the invitation to join. And then once you are able to access B courses, that's when you'll be able to see like announcements that are being posted. So for if you're wanting to access CDSS advising, you'll need to just finish all the activities in your B courses before you can meet with us. And I think for now we're only doing drop-ins. I don't think we're doing appointments yet for incoming students, but that's actually probably
okay.
better for all of you. So you can access the drop-ins once you have finished your B courses, and this is like a time where you can have like up to like 10 to 15 minutes. And that's probably all you need right now. You probably just have quick questions. So we advise doing that, but make sure that you actually go through your B courses, like take the time, because that's probably where all your questions will be answered. But we're definitely here to help if you have any additional questions or specific. And then good question in the chat. Drop-in advising for the summer is all virtual. So for now, up until the fall semester starts, that's when we'll have more like hybrid options. But it will be online only for now. And then for the invitations for the B courses, was it in Cal Central or our email? That's a good question. I think it might have come through Cal Central, but then it also might have came through your email. Maybe if someone else who's already able to access B courses remembers how it came through. It's hard for us to remember since we're always on the other side of things, how things look for you on the student side. But you should have gotten some sort of notification, so I don't know. Okay, got it from Cal Central. So go ahead and check Cal Central to accept the invitation. And then if you didn't get any sort of invitation, feel free to email us and we can help set you up. Thank you, everyone. That's very helpful.
a couple things I could quick answer. There's for summer, drop-ins are virtual. In the fall, we'll go back to on the CS side. It sounds like for CDSS are virtual, but we'll go back to in-person in the fall. And then another student was asking, who do we go to if we want to do like multi-semester planning to major or college? So I know I've had other students express frustration with what they call not being able to have holistic advising, meaning one stop. And unfortunately, that is the way Berkeley, we're a little different than where you're transferring from, where you had like one advisor and they could advise everything. We don't unfortunately work that way. So yeah, we could for major advice, we could give you advice, and even long-term for major advising also, but we can't for the college advising. But we could, we could do common sense, program planning together on both ends. You could meet with your major advisor and we could do a common sense one, and then you could go to the college and say, hey, I met with the major advisor and using common sense, we added these college requirements. Can I, is this what do you think? So yeah, so that's what we have. If anybody has any other comments, I just wanted to point that out. Who do we talk to about simultaneous degrees? You could come to your major advisor and then also obviously the major advisor for the other, major that you're interested in the other college. But it's very common. We have a lot of sim degrees. I don't know if it's as common with transfers, but yeah. We have a question. Will learning how to navigate through the class enrollment website be taught in the GBA Canvas? Oh, Brianna already said yes. Okay.
Visit, especially at the beginning, like financial aid, different resources. It's not a one-stop shop, unfortunately, but we can definitely help try to at least navigate. Like, there's a lot of good websites that exist for various units, so we can try to get you to the right place, so that if you come visit us and you don't feel like it was a waste of time, we can at least show you, okay, this is where you should be going. And maybe we can even direct you to a specific person. So for enrolling, so I've linked our full enrollment policies here. You are a computer science student, so you do have reserved seats in both our lower division and upper division classes. So in terms of getting into computer science classes, especially at the beginning, it should be pretty smooth. When it comes to the upper division, we don't unfortunately have enough seats for every single computer science, for every single EEC student to get into the upper division class they want in a particular semester. Some upper division classes are just bigger. So it's not as much of an issue like our artificial intelligence class, like our the continuation kind of CS 70 is CS 170, it's algorithms and something. Those classes are really big. So usually, students can get into those classes. And then we have another class, like our UX class, CS 160 is very small and it's only offered once a year. So that class is much harder to get into. So you'll kind of learn as you go. But at the lower division level, you should have no problem getting into your classes that you need. But just some, advice, again, be strategic about what classes you're taking together. Your course combinations are going to be really important and kind of shape your semester. So think about like seeing the whole semester through. You can look at course websites. When are all my midterms lining up? Is my project due on the same day as a midterm of another class? So if it's at all possible, you could try to avoid particularly difficult semesters. Again, you could try to do Stat 20 along with 61A so that you can take Data 100 later if you're interested and fulfill a college requirement for your statistical reasoning. Another tip is to pair a lighter computer science tech elective with a heavier CS upper division course so they balance each other out. If you need to, you could take summer classes if you're not interning then. And we talked about this earlier, but yes, 5 semesters are guaranteed for transfers in the CDSS college. So that's really great. It certainly helps with balancing. So you have, we talked about this statistical reasoning college requirement. You also have another college requirement called Human and Social Dynamics. This class is not required, at least so far, a class that meets this requirement is not offered at community colleges, so you would need to take this here at Berkeley. There are a couple classes, however, that are going to meet both the Human and Social Dynamics requirement and our technical elective requirement. It won't give you double the units, but you can take one class and satisfy 2 things. So City Planning 101, which a good number of students take, and then Data 104. I have heard that is a heavier class. I think you have a really big paper to write in it. But those will fulfill 2 different things for you. Okay, so let's talk about something very important, grading and repeat policies. So any class you take for your major, or if you do a minor, they need to be taken for a letter grade. You cannot take them for pass, not pass. So I want to make that very clear. All classes for your major or if you do a minor, must be taken for letter grades. It's campus policy that you are allowed to repeat courses if you get a D, any sort of D range, or an F. Like, so say you unfortunately take a major class like 61A and you get a D, you can repeat that class. And then, the second grade, you get an A the next time, that A is going to be in your GPA, not the D. We'll still be able to see both grades on your transcript, but only the higher grade would be incorporated into the GPA. If you get a not pass in, say, a college requirement, you could repeat that class as well. You cannot, however, repeat courses in which you've earned a P or a C minus or better. So if you get a C minus or a C in something for our major and you just want to retake it, unfortunately, you would not be able to. We wouldn't be able to change your GPA. Okay, so just now under a month now, enrollment is going to begin. So you will be enrolling starting July 15th. That's when you can start enrolling in classes. So plenty of time to make sure that you understand which sample schedule works for you and that you're enrolling in the right classes. As I mentioned earlier, you have enrollment priority into our lower division computer science classes. So you have seats reserved for you. That doesn't mean you should wait to enroll. You should definitely enroll at the time of your appointment because we have all other students wanting to take our classes. If you run into trouble for some reason, if you're waitlisted or something's happening with Cal Central and you can't enroll and you think you should be able to, you should email our enrollment manager here, cs-enrollments@eeks.berkeley.edu, and the enrollment team will help figure it out with you. And then if you're interested in electrical engineering courses, we also have something called EEKS courses. You can email our electrical engineering course manager, ee-scheduling@berkeley.edu, if you need help getting into that class, and then she'll kind of figure out what's going on. All right, so we've reached the end here. So I sent everyone a link when I sent the invitation for this presentation today to book an appointment with me. So maybe today answered your questions about your first schedule, so you don't need the appointment. That's totally fine. But if you still have questions, you're welcome to meet with me. We also have drop-in advising. So this afternoon, if you wanted to come to that and go over your schedule, that's totally fine. We're Tuesday and Wednesdays, 1:30 to 3 p.m. And then again, just sharing our email alias one more time, you can reach us cs-advising@cs.berkeley.edu. So we reached the end, but please ask more questions if you have them. We have, a little bit of time left. But we're super excited and congratulations to all of you. I think I forgot to say that at the beginning. So thank you for joining today, and let us know if you have more questions before we sign off.
Yeah, so Leif is asking if we have questions specifically about transferring, are there separate counselors for that? Do you mean coursework transferring? Because yeah, if it's like CS coursework, yeah, reach out to Lydia. That would be the best thing, or the CS advising alias, Lydia.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep the alias on there just in case I'm on, vacation or whatever. But usually I'll be the person responding to you.
Yeah, but like it's best to always write to our alias because it goes to everybody. We have better ways to keep track of the emails. Oh, so you're talking about iGetsy, so it's a college transferring. Yeah, I'll pass that to Brianna.
I'm sorry. Transferring like outside for like college requirements. We'll go over this in the CDSS session on July 1st. But Yes, if you're having issues regarding iGetsy, we'll have to look into it a little bit more, since iGetsy is its own thing. But we do have a way to kind of like request transfer coursework to be looked at. More specifically, if you're coming outside of like a California community college, we have kind of like a similar process as the other departments to evaluate coursework. But we'll talk about it more in the session next week.
And then someone's asking, will they be sent the link? Oh, do you mean, Victoria, I think they mean they make an appointment with you on July 1st, so you'll be sending them the Zoom link.
Appointment with who?
Yeah, it's Victoria. Will I be sent the link for the meeting on July 1st? So I take it you mean you made an appointment with Lydia? Oh, the CDSS session. Sorry, I didn't.
All the information is in the B courses. So if you go to announcements, I don't think the link has been sent yet. It might already be in there, but it will be sent out through the B courses. So just look at the announcements. There'll be an announcement sent before like this first CDSS webinar, and then you'll be able to access it there.
So thank you again, and I look forward to meeting everybody this fall.